Deuteronomy 18. We're going to go through the offerings for the priests and the Levites, but then we're going to get to the good stuff. The punishments for practicing the occult and pretending to be a false prophet. You'll never guess what the punishment is. Okay, I will give you one guess what the punishment is. Okay, it's death. The Levitical priests, indeed the whole tribe of Levi, are to have no allotment or inheritance with Israel. They shall live on the food offerings presented to the Lord, for that is their inheritance. They shall have no inheritance among their fellow Israelites. The Lord is their inheritance, as he promised them. We already know this, but I find it hilarious that Moses has to keep reminding everyone how little God cares about the Levites by pretending God totally cares about the Levites. They get nothing except God. And isn't that enough? This is the share due the priests from the people who sacrifice a bull or a sheep. The shoulder, the internal organs, and the meat from the head. You are to give them the first fruits of your grain, new wine and olive oil, and the first wool from the shearing of your sheep. For the Lord your God has chosen them and their descendants out of all your tribes to stand and minister in the Lord's name always. I know I'm vegetarian, so maybe I'm just out of the loop here, but is this a good thing? I have never heard anyone say, I'm starving, can't wait for the shoulder and spleen and scalp. And on top of that, they get grain and wine and oil and wool? That's just greedy. Isn't scapula meat enough for these carnivorous monsters? If a Levite moves from one of your towns anywhere in Israel where he is living and comes in all earnestness to the place the Lord will choose, he may minister in the name of the Lord his God like all his fellow Levites who serve there in the presence of the Lord. He is to share equally in their benefits, even though he has received money from the sale of family possessions. Aww, they've been shuffling priests between churches for thousands of years. Who knew? And how do we know there is a job opening in these places? I didn't know Levites get lifetime tenure. Are they the best people for the job, or are they bumping out a lower level Levite? How much would it suck to be a Levite intern right now? When you enter the land the Lord your God is giving you, do not learn to imitate the detestable ways of the nations there. Let no one be found among you who sacrifices their son or daughter in the fire, who practices divination or sorcery, interprets omens, engages in witchcraft, or casts spells, or who is a medium, or spiritist, or who consults the dead. Anyone who does these things is detestable to the Lord. Because of these same detestable practices, the Lord your God will drive out those nations before you. You must be blameless before the Lord your God. When in Rome, do nothing like the Romans do. Got it. I mean, I was all in when it came to not burning my kids alive, but we're going after magicians and psychics and con artists who take advantage of people's grief and then get their own TV shows? I mean, leave James Van Praagh alone. It's not even true. We're gonna see in 1 Samuel that Saul uses a witch to contact a dead guy. And no mediums or omen interpreters. In Genesis 1, God created stars and said, let them serve as signs. You would think astrologers make the cut. The irony with this whole section is that Christianity is an entire religion built around someone who performed magic tricks, like turning water into wine, and practiced sorcery through his miracles, and expects us to talk to him even though he was killed. And I don't want to hear any rules about the problem with child sacrifice from the God who told Abraham to sacrifice Isaac and who demanded the Israelites give him their firstborn sons. The nations you will dispossess, listen to those who practice sorcery or divination. But as for you, the Lord your God has not permitted you to do so. The Lord your God will raise up for you a prophet like me from among you, from your fellow Israelites. You must listen to him, For this is what you asked of the Lord your God at Horeb on the day of the assembly, when you said, Let us not hear the voice of the Lord our God, nor see this great fire anymore, or we will die. This is really where things go off the rails. Moses says, I'll be gone, but don't worry, one of you will become a prophet like me, and everyone has to listen to that guy. Give us a name, Moses. You clearly know how the story ends, so tell everyone who your successor is before 5 different guys claim they're the chosen one. This is such unnecessary potential confusion. The Lord said to me, What they say is good. I will raise up for them a prophet like you from among their fellow Israelites, and I will put my words in his mouth. He will tell them everything I command him. I myself will call to account anyone who does not listen to my words that the prophet speaks in my name. But a prophet who presumes to speak in my name anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, is to be put to death. Well, sure. If you're gonna have a puppet, it better not have a mind of its own. But again, tell us who it is. Because it is very easy to say anything and just claim God is cool with it. How would anyone know the prophet is lying when he's just echoing God's words? And if they know when he's lying, why aren't they the prophets? Why do they need this guy? And how come the next prophet gets God putting words in his mouth? Does that mean we're done with rain clouds and smoke? Because, you know what? Good. It's about time. You may say to yourselves, how can we know when a message has not been spoken by the Lord? If what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. That prophet has spoken presumptuously, so do not be alarmed. You would think this is a solution. You can tell someone's a false prophet because their prophecies don't come true. But that's a horrible test. Because smart prophets will just give vague prophecies with no expiration dates. The world's gonna end soon. Oh really? When? Soon. Don't question me. And, something amazing will happen if you act impulsively. Really? At work? I didn't say where, or when, or how. And if you think I'm making this up, remember that most Christians believe that Jesus is coming back, and there's no way to prove to them they're wrong because that's how prophecies work. There's no counterexample. They could be on their deathbed and they will still say it's gonna happen. By the way, all of this is even more confusing because in Deuteronomy 13, Moses said the Israelites should not trust a so-called prophet who tells them to worship a different god, even if that dude's predictions come true. So, we're not supposed to trust a prophet who makes correct predictions, and we'll know he's a false prophet if his predictions fail. I'm so confused right now. No wonder there are thousands of religions. At least the right people are getting punished. The liars who want to take advantage of everyone's trust. But as usual, God goes too far in demanding they be executed. There have to be better punishments for all of this. Like, prophets shouldn't be allowed to make money that way for years. I mean, kick them in the pocketbook where it hurts.